season.
Yeah, I'll tell you, the seeds hold true on this one, and I am so glad they did, because we have BYU, who's actually ranked higher but seeded lower than Purdue. They just don't have the same strength of schedule as the Boilermakers, who hail from the very battle-tested Big Ten.
A lot of star power in this one. Who are you keeping an eye on specifically today?
Well, one of the biggest transfers of the offseason was fifth-year senior Kenzie Korber making that move from Utah right down the road to BYU. In her first and what will be her only season as a Cougar, she was named West Coast Conference Player of the Year. But we have a battle of right sides on our hands, because Purdue has Grace Cleveland, who's coming off of a fantastic match in that reverse sweep of Dayton. She had 17 kills and, count them, only one error in 5 sets. She is hitting 300 points higher than her season average in the tournament alone. So definitely a star to keep your eyes on.
Cleveland, the two-time All-American. Purdue comes in as the 6th seed, 25-6 on the season. They went 15-5 in the Big Ten, and we are underway here in the regional semifinals. BYU 30-1 on the year, and the first point goes to Purdue.
That's Caitlin Newton, 4 right there in white. We mentioned Grace Cleveland. Her partner in action is certainly Caitlin Newton, a super senior, if you will, who returned for her COVID year of eligibility with one thought in mind, and that was a run at the NCAA tournament.
Newton, two-time All-American. That serve, however, too far, and we are even up early at 1. BYU led by Heather Olmstead, 4-time West Coast Conference Coach of the Year, now in her 7th season. Is also the 2018 National Coach of the Year as well. Ariana Comer serving for the Cougars. The dig goes out of bounds off of McComber. Point Purdue. Dave Shondell in charge of the Boilermakers. Picked up his 2nd Big Ten Coach of the Year honors. And now in season number 19 in charge. Kenzie Korber, and Purdue out to the early 3-1 lead here in Pittsburgh.
Not a great swing for Kenzie Korber to start things off, and we need to keep our eyes on her, because in their last match, it was against her former team, Utah. I'm sure there were some nerves there, but she was neutralized offensively, had 6 kills, 6 errors, and hit 0.
Cleveland serving for Purdue. Diving attempt, somehow the Boilermakers keep it alive. Korber rejected. Well, the Boilermakers enter this matchup number 2 in the nation in total blocks, and proving that here early on.
Absolutely. Interesting choice there by Bauer to go right back to her. I think there's a concerted effort to get Korber going offensively early after coming off of that slow match against Utah, but that Purdue block ready and waiting.
So one tapped over. Newton denied, and BYU returns the favor.
I like the play of Korber there, because when things aren't going well offensively, sometimes you can work yourself into a rhythm with good defense. So she answers Purdue's call at the net. Big blocks from the Boilermakers, and the Cougars return it.
Maddie Allen serving for BYU. Cleveland. Tap back over.
That's going to be Raven Colvin up at the net for Purdue, ready and waiting on that one. And I realize as soon as that back row setter from BYU goes up to make a play at the net, even if it's not her intention to take the ball over the net, if Raven Colvin is able to block her attempt, she becomes a back row attacker, and that's the case there.
Both of these teams dropped their first set in the previous round. Purdue, in fact, lost the first 2 to Dayton as that one is out. They rallied back with the reverse sweep after dropping the first 2 sets to Dayton in the 2nd round. And as for BYU, they lost the opening set to Utah before rallying to win that. Here in the regional semifinal opener, it's Boilermakers leading 6-2 over the Cougars. We'll be back from Pittsburgh with Purdue out to the hot start.
Volleyball Championship is presented by Buick, the official SUV of the NCAA.
Well, Purdue out to the early lead, led by Dave Shondell. And he has to be pleased with his start, Missy, as they came in on fire, winning 11 of their last 12 and starting off hot.
But interestingly, both of these teams are coming off of matches where they had slow starts. BYU lost that first set to Utah before storming back. And Purdue, of course, the huge reverse sweep of Dayton. So Purdue's got to feel good about getting a hot start. Unfortunately, BYU hitting -600 right now. Not the start they were hoping for.
Not at all. We'll see how the Cougars respond after the timeout, but it's another point for Purdue.
Raven Colvin, freshman middle blocker, who I tell you what, has lived not only up to but beyond any expectations they had for her this season. And Coach Shondell, I love what he says about her. When he doesn't just talk about her talent, he always talks about her work ethic. That's what I love about what he has to say about Raven Colvin.
Kerber off a Purdue player. Well, Purdue comes into this one with one of the most experienced and loaded teams in program history. They returned the entire roster from a year ago. Largest roster ever, 4 All-Americans. That's a program record.
And really the experience across the country, I think, is what's making for such a tremendous NCAA volleyball tournament. With that extra COVID year of eligibility, you have a lot of fifth-year seniors on the floor, and that's definitely the case at this regional site.
That one tapped over by Ballard Dixon, and she was denied. And again, Purdue with now over 350 blocks on the season.
And not just tap back, but this is a one-on-one opportunity against the opposing team's setter in Haley Bush. And look at that, Haley Bush taking care of business.
Purdue hitting .333, BYU -.33. That one too strong. Second service error by Purdue.
Just long there for Jenna Otek, 19 there for the Boilermakers wearing their Libero jersey. She, along with Caitlin Newton, 2 players for Purdue who have returned for that extra year of eligibility.
BYU lost just once all year to Pittsburgh here earlier in the season. It's now a 9-4 contest.
Interestingly, 5 here in white, Maddie Chin gets the start on the left side. That's a really interesting piece to the Purdue puzzle in that they're not afraid to use one of any 3 outside hitters opposite Caitlin Newton. They have a lot of depth, and depending on the matchup, they'll go with Maddie Chin, sometimes Emma Ellis, not afraid to switch it up.
A dig on the back row by Reinert. Purdue setting it up. Flying it is Newton, and there's BYU with the rejection.
Heather Knighting in the middle for BYU at 6'4", and when she exits the court, she's only replaced by a 6'5" Eschenberg. So 2 huge middles here for BYU. Great job reading. Stays home on that back row attack and reaches right into it.
Taylor Hefo serving 28 aces on the season. Set over by Maddie Chin. Kerber came flying in and just put too much on it.
BYU will utilize Kerber across the back row just as they would across the front row. Literally an attacker in all 6 rotations. And you'll see the same use of Grace Cleveland for Purdue. So both right sides available all across the court.
Marissa Horning serving. 16 aces for the senior on a senior-laden team. A dig by Otek.
Double contact here, called on Purdue. Didn't look extremely ugly coming out of her hands, but just enough of a rotation there that the up official makes that call. And so that's an indication as to how this match will be officiated early on. You see that they're going to call things pretty tight.
What do we think of the start so far for BYU? I mean, listen, this was their local time, a 9 a.m. start. I mean, that's a big difference for them coming across the country.
Absolutely. So glad you brought that up, Alex. This early start time definitely impacts BYU. Look at this, Grace Cleveland. We talked about how she hits out of the front row and the back. Well, guess what? She can also attack off 1 foot, something that I know the Boilermakers were putting an emphasis on early in the season, making her available off 1 foot. You can see how that play has developed quite nicely.
Allie Hornung. Kept in play by Grace Cleveland and sent over and delivered by Caitlin Newton, the 2-time All-American.
Are you kidding me? Completely out of system. Off of a bump set here from Grace Cleveland. And Caitlin Newton doesn't back away, goes up and high points the ball. And that's what you've got to do against that high, tight set there at the net. Just go get it.
Newton 4th all-time in kills in program history, but Kennedy Eschenberg answers 9th in the nation in hitting percentage is Eschenberg.
Kennedy Eschenberg not only redshirted, but is now taking advantage of that extra year of eligibility. Said she's been at BYU for 6 years. She said, I feel like that's longer than some people are in elementary school. But
you're seeing a lot of those situations around the country.
And Coach Olmstead, literally, there was emotion in her voice. She said, it makes me sad to think of Kennedy Eschenberg leaving our program, that she's just such a great human, not just a volleyball player.
A tremendous burst for them. That one just stayed in, point Purdue. So a little back and forth action. The Boilermakers hitting well over 300 here in the opening set.
Probably not how you draw it up, but I like the aggressive play of Purdue right now, not afraid to go up and take big rips in somewhat out of system situations.
Cleveland with the serve. And a point there for Ballard-Nixon and the Cougars.
I feel like a broken record, but Ballard-Nixon, another of those players on the floor today taking advantage of the extra year of eligibility. You start to get a picture of how much experience is on the floor for both sides.
Newton taps it over. Kerber denied! That Purdue defense is no joke.
Newton alongside Colvin. I mean, this is so well scouted. They are lining up so well on Kerber. That left-handed attacker can be tricky early on in a match, but I'll tell you what, Newton is aligning that block up perfectly. As you mentioned, Purdue comes into this one third in the nation in blocks per set, so no surprise to see their dominance at the net.
Newton serving. Team leading 36 aces this year. BYU sets it up for Kerber. From the back row, Newton, too much power.
What a set by Haley Bush. You couldn't place this any better. She is a Big Ten all-first team selection, hangs it right in the sweet spot. And look at Newton, 3 blockers up, and no one is stopping Caitlin Newton.
Newton, the 5th-year senior, first team all Big Ten performer. And you know, this is an emotional start for Purdue. They picked up right where they left off because, well,
the long life. Dr. Don nearing 93, and Coach Shondell said he was ready to go. And boy, what a full life it had been. They had a small funeral, but there, he said, will be a much bigger celebration at Ball State in the future.
Our condolences and thoughts and prayers go out to the Shondell family. Coach Shondell's squad doubling up BYU here. He has to be pleased with the start here in the opening set of the opening match of the regional semifinals. Caitlin Newton getting ready to serve. Kerber back the other way to Ballard-Nixon. Sound like a broken record here. But the front line for the Boilermakers just dominating play early on.
And I wondered how BYU's passing would hold up against the aggressive serving of Purdue. In the tournament, most teams have been going at Kinsey Kerber. We talked about her offense being a little down. Wow, another ace. As we talk about that powerful serving of Purdue. Interestingly, what I was going to say is right now they're going away from Kerber. And from the 2 teams who have played BYU prior to this in the tournament, the strategy has certainly been to go at Kerber. She had near 130 serve-receive attempts without an error yet coming into this match. And Purdue sort of picking up another strategy as they're serving away from her.
The Boilermakers couldn't have asked for a better start. By the way, for Newton, that was her team-leading 37th ace of the year, and there is another point for Newton. I mean, Purdue has come out on fire.
Newton out of the back row, just seeing the court so incredibly well. Realizes she doesn't have to take the big swing there. If you remember just moments ago, she did have a big kill out of the back row. So she's created a defense that's back on their heels, waiting for that big swing, and she drops that one right over the block.
And listen, this is a battle-tested team. They've beaten 7 ranked squads. That one is a service error. 4 top 10 teams. And Purdue is the only program in the nation to have multiple wins over top 3 teams. I mean, every stat you bring up, they have gone through the gauntlet to get to this point.
Yeah, Wisconsin is a top 4 seed in this tournament, and guess what? Purdue beat them twice, home and away this year.
20-9 Purdue to open things up. Again, BYU no slouch, having lost just once all year to Pittsburgh. But right now they have their hands full in the opening set with Dave Shondell and his Boilermakers. Jenna Otek, Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year and All-American serving. Dig by Dec. And saving that one somehow. Again, Dec on the defensive end. Purdue having a block party here in Pittsburgh to start things off.
And that 22 on the outside, taking the, oh, look at the save to keep it alive for Purdue. It's the defense that turns into offense for Purdue. That's what's so good, their transition game. They never stop playing.
Service error. Well, you talk about hitting percentage. BYU is hitting minus 250, and Purdue is practically hitting positive 350.
Yeah, that's a huge differential right now. And it just has so much to do with the service pressure that Purdue is creating. Coach Shondell, interesting, told me last year his team did not have a lot of aces in Big Ten play because they chose to serve a lot of short balls. And this year they have gone back to more of a driving serve, and we're making a very much an effort in practice every single day. He said we're putting an effort on improving our serving. Big swing there again by Purdue. This is JL Johnson out of the middle and just slicing one off the block.
Purdue already with 4 blocks in this set. Up by 12. Go back and forth action at the net. Kerber comes flying in for a much-needed point for BYU. If you're Heather Olmstead, what are you saying to your squad right now, reeling off this hot Purdue start?
Yeah, I think right now, eyes off the scoreboard, and it's simply about creating rhythm. You know, you're really not worried about the score of this first set anymore. It's about creating some rhythm, trying to settle in, get comfortable so you can carry that into the second set.
Taylor Hefo, the senior setter.
Wow, what a pass by Caitlin Newton there in left back. She doesn't just keep it alive, she nails that pass. That is absolutely beautiful. Look at that, laying out to her left. And then Haley Bush just steps into the set, doesn't even have to move, and JL Johnson finishes it.
There was nothing Hefo could do on the back row. Another block with this one out of bounds, so the point goes to BYU.
And that's a kill for Livingston up there in left front for BYU, who they may need to consider getting even more balls too. She has been really hot in the tournament, has led them against both Boise and Utah in terms of kills, 15 and 13 respectively.
Yeah, third on the team in kills this year is Livingston. Newton, into the net it goes.
And they're actually going to call that one off the block. So I think you're right. I think it hits the net tape and the block. And no argument from BYU, so that's certainly the case. So that one, the block gets a little piece of it out of bounds, and another kill for Caitlin Newton.
Set point here in the opening set for the Boilermakers. Allie Hornan serving. Ooh, that one right into Kerber. Livingston, too far, and Purdue takes the opening set with a dominant 25-12 performance there. The Boilermakers hit nearly 400, 4 blocks, and Purdue leads 1-0 in the opening match of the regional semifinals here in Pittsburgh. They hit -179 in the first set. What needs to change?
Well, you know, volleyball's so interesting in that each set is its own little entity. You know, you don't carry your points with you from set 1 to set 2, and for BYU, that's a good thing today. They can completely wash set 1. They're coming off of a match against Utah that, quite honestly, was very similar. You know, Utah came out and really controlled set 1 against them, so this is not a place they have not been. And I think they just have to wash set 1, hit the restart button here. They are certainly capable of competing. Alex
Loeb and Missy Whittemore here with you for this opening matchup between BYU and Pittsburgh. You bring up a good point. They lost that first set to Utah 25-17, but came right back. However, they were not facing a defense like Purdue, another block.
This has been a clinic on service pressure and blocking at the net from Purdue. And I'll tell you what, watching them practice yesterday, I loved their coaches encouraging them. They said, you know, block aggressively, touch every ball. That is their expectation.
That one tapped over and nobody was home. JL Johnson, the senior, one of the most efficient hitters in Purdue history with the point.
JL Johnson, nice little tap. Only one block up. Defense not able to touch that.
Hitting .308 for her career, top 10 in Purdue history. Kerber. Newton with the soft touch. You know, on paper is Purdue with another block. Missy, on paper, this appeared to be, it was going to be one of the more intriguing matchups of this round. How surprised are you at Purdue's utter dominance right now?
The blocking for Purdue right now is so dominant. They are setting the block so well. Hands are strong over the net. I mean, there is just nowhere for BYU to go. And it's starting at the service line, though. They're putting their blocker in good position with pressure from the service line.
Speaking of, BYU says, oh yeah, we can do a little bit of that ourselves, and they get their first point of the set.
Junior Heather Knighting here at 6'4", a formidable block there alongside their smaller setter, but Knighting takes care of that.
Taylor Hefo, the senior setter from American Fork, Utah, serving. Just sent over by Kerber. Newton. And that's the point for BYU.
Yeah, that ball landed inbounds, but it hits the antenna off of her swing.
Yep.
You see the antenna shaking there, and the antenna is out of bounds. Interestingly, I talked to Coach Shondell early in the year about Caitlin Newton's swing, and he said there were practices in the middle of the year where they wanted to take her out of her comfort zone and were forcing her to hit only line. He said she loves to go angle, and so I like to see her go line there. I hate that she got the antenna, but Purdue answers with a big swing and a side out.
So many weapons on this Purdue team. There's JL Johnson. She's got 3 kills, but that's only third. That would be leading BYU if you look at their stats. Caitlin Newton has 5 for the Boilermakers, and Raven Colvin has 4. And flying in is Raven Colvin, the freshman from Indianapolis. She's got over 150 kills now on the season.
I like it, the give and go. She takes her own first contact. Lots of times the liberos will try to shove them out of the way, but Colvin says, I got this. Gives it to the setter, goes back and gets it. With this front line right now for BYU, Newton, Colvin, and Grace Cleveland, the physicality of Purdue is just on display.
And Colvin was part of that number 10 recruiting class in the nation that was brought in addition to all these returning seniors. BYU with the point.
There's Livingston. We said she's had a really hot tournament. She's able to get it going here. That time she cuts it inside the block. So finally able to find her way around the block. There was also a really nice tempo to that ball for BYU. They're going to have to be fast in order to beat this Boilermaker block.
Whitney Bauer with the serve. Purdue with the point.
Wow, the middle attack right now for Purdue. Not only are they blocking balls, but whether it's been JL Johnson or Raven Colvin, really attacking well.
It's a BYU team that has not lost since mid-September. Service error. If there's been one weakness for Purdue so far, it's been service errors. They have 5 so far on the day.
They're absolutely committed to going after it from the service line, and you can see that from the numbers. Unfortunately, the service ace number at only 1 doesn't tell the story. You got to stat the passing, and if you're statting the passing from BYU, you would realize how dominant Purdue has been from the serving line.
Off the McComber serve. Dig on the back row by the Cougars. Colvin, and that is in. The freshman putting on a show right now with a match high in kills, 7 of them.
And how about the versatility? We have seen Colvin mainly in front of the setter so far in this match, and there she goes off 1 foot behind. Only a freshman. What a bright future for Raven Colvin.
Caitlin Newton, she has the only ace by either team so far today. 6th service error by the Boilermakers, and that is keeping BYU in this set.
Yeah, it certainly is. Allowing the Cougars to hang around and just see if they can get something going, if they can settle in here offensively.
Off the Maddie Allen serve. Perfectly placed by Maddie Chin, the junior from Michigan.
Wow, Maddie Chin really is known for being consistent. Coach said when we need consistency, when we don't want to air ourselves out of a match, I often will go with Maddie Chin. She's so low error. But he said, you know, she also needs to learn to take big grips at the ball and learn not to hit it right at the libero. Well, she just showed she can do it right there.
Kerber trying to answer for BYU, and she does.
Kerber, that left-handed swing, and that time you see she kind of turns it down the line, gets those high hands.
What an addition she's been. Was a 3-time All-American at Utah. Decided to make the move to BYU, was named West Coast Conference Player of the Year and trying to come up big in their most important match of the season, and BYU pulls within 1.
Taylon Ballard-Nixon on the outside, one of many first-team West Coast Conference selections for BYU. As we said, this offense is so capable. They have a lot of weapons. If they can just settle in on first contact and get in system, because Whitney Bauer is so good when she has the opportunity to be in system. It's hard to read where she's going to set the ball.
There's a challenge on that last play. We'll take another look. As they look at it down at court level, what do you like most about how BYU has responded here in set number 2? You
know, I think they're just going back to their DNA, which is to be well balanced, you know, and they were trying that. It's not they weren't trying that in the first set, but they just didn't have good first contact.
Well, the original call is confirmed. It is a point for BYU.
And that ball is in, you see there on the in line. For most of the season, these teams used an experimental challenge system, and that is not in play for the NCAA tournament. So you have those 3 challenges, but once you use them, they are gone, whether you are correct or incorrect on the challenge.
Yeah, they use that experimental system in conference play, but have gone back to the normal rules here for the postseason. Off the Kerber serve. Newton. Ballard-Nixon. Newton again at it. Nice rally going on here between these 2 squads, and it comes to an end thanks to Taylon Ballard-Nixon.
And Alex, back to your question about what I like about BYU, they're just staying the course. You know, they don't have to be anyone different than who they are. They just had to control first contact and give themselves some in-system opportunities in order to negate that Purdue block.
I mean, there's a reason they've won 23 straight. This is a resilient bunch out of Provo. And there is the point for BYU, and they have their first lead of the set. What a response here in the second set by the Cougars. And a timeout is called by Purdue. Set are leading the 6th-seeded Boilermakers by 1, 9-8 here in set number 2. We'll be back from Fitzgerald Fieldhouse. Kentucky taking on number 7 Louisville at 1 p.m. Eastern. Then it's top-ranked South Carolina hosting number 8 Maryland. Both games on ESPN and the app. One app, one tap. Again, all that action on Sunday and plenty of action here today in Pittsburgh as BYU has come roaring back here in the second set to take a 9-8 lead. Kenzie Kerber serving. Sent over. BYU keeps it alive. Kerber back to Purdue's side of the court. Oh, another dig on the back row by the Cougars. The block by Purdue. Oh, and Ballard-Nixon does it again.
This is a key rotation for BYU because this is a difficult rotation for the Boilermakers. Look at the effort from BYU. They know that they have an opportunity to score points in this rotation. It is the one rotation for Purdue where neither Grace Cleveland nor Caitlin Newton are in the front rows. It's a difficult rotation for them sometimes to side out of.
Newton way too strong. BYU up by 3. Ballard-Nixon has gotten hot in this set offensively. And a number of errors by Purdue on the other side of the floor.
couple service errors early in this set that we said just allowed BYU to hang around, to settle in, and now they need Kerber to keep that pressure on from the service line. This is a great rotational matchup for the Cougars.
Newton denied, and BYU, I mean, this just looks like a totally different team than the one we saw in the first set.
Volleyball, what a game of momentum, and it can shift so quickly. Because as we said, you know, in the game of basketball, you may have a bad first quarter, but you got to take those points with you into the second quarter. Here you get to hit reset, and I love to see that BYU is able to do that.
Kenzie Kerber with 99 career aces, and there is number 100.
Man, you set that up perfectly.
8-0 run for BYU.
And the bottom just drops out of this one. You see Purdue players dodging to get out of the way, fully expecting this one to float past the end line, and absolutely not.
Kerber, 22 aces on the season. That one off of Haley Bush. And now the question we asked a moment ago, as Purdue calls a timeout, what do they need to do to respond? Because really, over the past 10 points, BYU has been dominating.
Well, as a player, you know which rotations can be difficult for you. And so no doubt Purdue realizes this is a difficult rotation, and they just can't panic here. It's just important to get a good first contact. You know, when you know it's a difficult rotation to get out of, you got to control the things you can control, and a perfect first contact. They just got to think about first contact and then allow their defense to play ball for them.
We've got a Saturday afternoon college basketball doubleheader for you on ESPN. Number 8 Kansas plays host to Missouri at 3:15 p.m. Eastern. Then old school rivals square off in South Bend as number 10 Kentucky takes on Notre Dame. Both games are also on the app. One app, one tap. So here we are, Purdue with a utterly dominant first set. They won 25-12, but you brought up a great point, Missy, how BYU dropped their opening set to Utah in similar fashion, 25-17. They came fighting back in that one. Same story here. And this is the first of one of a number of huge games. Just sit back and watch the U, watch ESPN Plus. We got you covered. Coming up next on ESPNU, the number 1 seed Louisville taking on 16th seeded Florida, and Ohio State Georgia Tech later on tonight. The 2nd seeded Texas Longhorns playing host to Washington. We got you covered.
Yeah, it's hard to pick a favorite there. I don't know which one I'm most looking forward to watching. I have to admit, Texas-Washington sort of piques my interest. Two very different styles of volleyball, but certainly very dominant teams in their respective leagues.
Well, Heather Olmstead always has the poker face going. Same reaction as we saw in the first set when they lost that one, but her team up by 6 here. Out of the timeout, Kerber serving again. 9-0 run for BYU. What a dig by Otech. Ballard Nixon, she's been hot in this set. Try it again, and gets the point. BYU is pumped.
As they should be. What fight to come back here in this second set and just completely turn the tables.
10-0 run. They only scored 12 total points in the first set.
We are going to see a substitution here from Purdue. I mentioned in that second outside hitter position, they're not afraid to make changes. They've got Madeline Cook on the floor now in place of Maddie Chen.
What a diving stab made by Aria McComber to keep the play going for BYU. Over, and the point by Maddie Cook ends the Cougars' 10-0 run.
Her first swing of the match as she was just inserted by Coach Shondell, and she finds the magic spot. Good for her. Comes in, makes a big impact. They certainly needed help getting out of that rotation.
Ballard Nixon sends it back the other way for Kerber. Resetting.
There's going to be a net violation called there on BYU. Grace Cleveland now back in the front row for Purdue. BYU very aware of her back there on the right side, doing everything they can to try to slow her down. And so really it's her dominance in that first set that draws BYU into the net as they're trying desperately to get a piece of her swing.
That one is in, and Purdue just got caught looking as Heather Knighting, 4th in the nation in hitting percentage, delivered the point.
I really like the 1-2 combo at middle blocker for BYU because both players are true two-way players. Not only are they dominant blockers, but they're both so diverse offensively, not afraid to go off 1 foot behind.
Kaylin Ballard-Nixon with a team-leading 35th ace on the season.
I tell you what, things could have not been more reversed. We talked so much about the service pressure from Purdue in set 1, and now it's BYU going back to the service line, and just Ballard-Nixon just puts a little extra something on that one.
See what she does for an encore. And she delivers another ace. 36 on the season, 18-10 BYU.
And I don't even think this is about the movement on the ball. She's serving it right at players, but she just has some pace on this serve right now. And with her length, she contacts the ball at such a high point, it's coming down at you, down and hard.
The 6'3" senior from Clovis, California. No ace there. BYU, however, still gets the point. Kerber.
And for Purdue, they have Hornung, number 10 in white, across the front row right now, a defensive specialist for them. So obviously I think they're looking for some passing here and willing to put her in across the front row, but a big mismatch there.
Trying to find the right combination. And that is in. Grace Cleveland makes it 19-11. How much of the slow start for BYU was the fact that, again, when this match started, it was 9 a.m. their time?
Yeah, that's so important. Maybe it just took them a set to wake up. But this is interesting. You know, you do not get those challenges back, even if you're correct. And so there's a lot of discussion there on the BYU bench as to whether or not they wanted to challenge that, and they decide not to use the challenge card.
But BYU does get the point. Erin Livingston, the sophomore from Corona, California.
Couple of severe angle cuts. Look at that, well within the 3-meter line, and that's what it's taking to avoid that huge Purdue block, and they're gonna have to start to drop the left hand of the middle blocker there and take away some of that sharp angle, or at least touch it.
Taylor Hefo, and there's another ace in this set for BYU.
And would you believe that not long ago, Taylor Hefo had a broken bone in her hand, just had surgery within a month. And here she is. They said obviously the surgery was very successful. I'd say that's an understatement.
Yeah, she is obviously healed. She was one of the top performers of the team at aces, but that one goes off of her hand. Purdue trying to fight back here, down by 9 now in the second set.
And now Purdue in what could arguably be their best rotation, as you see the firepower across the front row of Newton, Cleveland, and Colvin. And so if they're going to make a run, it's got to happen now.
Allie Hornung serving. Livingston off of Purdue. Point Cougars. They're up by 10.
Really smart swing here by Livingston, who moments ago took that sharp angle. This time well off the net, high off blockers' hands. You know, she is not one of the biggest outside hitters across the country, but boy, does she have all the shots.
BYU hitting .346 in this set. Livingston again. That is in. 23-12.
Perfect transition by BYU. They force Kinsey Kerber to make first contact, taking her out of the offense, and BYU says no problem, just hangs one up there for Livingston, who continues her hot play in the NCAA tournament.
There's Whitney Bauer, the reigning 2-time West Coast Conference Setter of the Year. Oh, what a tremendous play by Bauer on the defensive end. Purdue players running into each other. Newton. Kerber, and there's a point, set point coming up for BYU.
I am so impressed with Bauer and her defense. Look at this, one arm diving to her left. There's absolutely no quit in Whitney Bauer. She runs that offense like a general, but she's got the defense to back it up.
The BYU fans here in Pittsburgh on their feet off the Bauer serve. Maddie Allen with the dig. Off the net. Colvin, and this set continues. The freshman with a team-leading 8th kill. Grace Cleveland getting ready to serve. Just 1 ace and 6 service errors for Purdue so far today. Livingston denied.
And it certainly feels like too little too late here in set 2 for the Boilermakers, but boy, did they need this one, because it has been all Cougars in set 2, and you could say the same for the Boilermakers in set 1.
Cleveland serving again. And there's an ace, second of the day for Purdue, and they said, hold on, set's not over just yet. 19 aces on the season now for Cleveland.
And so Purdue seems to be going at Kerber when she's a front row attacker, but not necessarily serving her when she's in the backcourt.
And Purdue going on a nice run here, 4-0 run late in this. We mentioned Kansas Cinderella story, but there really haven't been too many upsets so far, which has led to the fact that you got a lot of quality teams still alive.
Yeah, I think we're going to have some big matches today. Illinois, the only other, aside from Kansas, unseeded team to advance. And that was an upset, of course, as they took down defending national champ Kentucky. And because of that, we will have that one meeting between conference opponents. And for as much as people like to comment on the bracket, I will say I like the fact that we were getting pretty deep in the tournament before teams from the same conference had to meet up. And I like the way they spread that around.
You have Purdue looking to advance to their second straight regional final, but have never made it past that round. And BYU looking to advance to the regional finals for the second time in 4 years. Who has the momentum right now? Well, early on it was Purdue taking the first set 25-12. Now it's been all BYU, up 24-16. Set point again for the Cougars. And there is the set put away by Kennedy Eschenberg. What a response by BYU, taking this one 25-16. What impressed you most here, Missy, in set number 2?
Look at the first contact right there from BYU, and that's what impressed me. They start off regional volleyball play.
Purdue hitting 266 on the day. BYU 082. The big difference at the service line. Purdue with 2 aces but 6 service errors. BYU just 1 service error and 4 aces.
Yeah, that's a great point, because while Purdue has been able to create pressure, it came with some errors, as you might expect. And I think BYU was able to create pressure in the second set, but has been able to minimize their errors, and that is so key. So
with each set being its own entity, does BYU carry over that momentum from the second set, or now that's ancient history?
Yeah, you would think so, right? But it's certainly the way this match has played out, that's ancient history. And interestingly, I did notice Purdue left the court there between sets 2 and 3. They left the court, went behind the bleachers into the locker room area, so they really are looking to hit refresh here, whereas BYU stayed on their bench here in the arena.
We'll see how they respond as set number 3 is underway, with Taylor Hefo serving for BYU. Caitlin Newton with the opening point of set number 3.
Somewhat of a no-brainer there, as right now the setter front row for BYU, and a fantastic setter she is, but around 5'8", so a smaller block in volleyball terms, and Caitlin Newton goes right at her.
Jenna Otek, the All-American, serving. Oh, scooped over immediately, and they caught Purdue off guard.
So I just mentioned they go after the smaller Whitney Bauer block, and I think she took it personally, because she answers with an attack of her own. Look at the throw to the floor, leaves no doubt.
2-time West Coast Conference Setter of the Year, and was the Player of the Year in that conference a year ago. Colvin trying to answer, unable to. Raven Colvin leading all players with 8 kills, but doesn't get the point there. BYU with the early lead here in the 3rd set.
A collision of players there at the net for Purdue, and no one's able to make a play on that ball, but luckily everyone gets up and they appear to be fine.
5 blocks now for the Cougars, 8 for the Boilermakers. Purdue sliding all over the place on defense, and they get the point. We're tied.
And it's interesting to me how good Purdue has been at that high, tight, out-of-system ball. And when you've got players like Cleveland and Newton who can just go up and get it, it really puts you an advantage.
Cleveland serving. Has 1 ace already today. Livingston, oh, nice dig by Horning on the back row to keep it going. Kerber. And there is the point for BYU. Horning was doing everything she could on the back end. Couldn't save it.
You hate to see that one travel out of bounds because Horning certainly hung in there defensively in that rally, made a couple great digs.
Meanwhile, BYU's bench has just been electric over the last set and a half now, as they are feeling it. Aria McComber, grad transfer from Washington State, serving. Colvin. And the point for BYU.
That one's out of bounds. In this rotation, Purdue passes with only 2 here, so they ask Horning and Otek to cover a whole lot of space.
Seems like the air has been taken out of the Boilermakers, but Cleveland says, let's bring it back. She gets the point, and the Boilermakers back within 1.
Really nice high swing there by Grace Cleveland as she takes one down the line.
Hit 471 in the last round against Dayton with 17 kills.
Cook back on the floor for Purdue in left front. We mentioned in that second left side position, they're not afraid to use Cook, Chin, or Ellis. And so they go with Cook here in this set.
Well, this has been a developing story here. A problem for Purdue now. 7 service errors compared to just 1 for BYU today.
They obviously understand the importance of creating chaos from the service line. That's exactly what they were able to do in set 1, but now the errors seem to be catching up with them.
Off the Maddie Allen serve. Maddie Cook. And again, the point for BYU. Well, it just seems like that first set we saw, we were just looking at 2 wildly different teams, and it feels that way. All the emotion, all the momentum on the side of BYU right now. And the block by Purdue, they needed that badly. 9 blocks on the day now from one of the best blocking teams in the nation.
And if my memory serves me correct, I believe Purdue has perhaps flipped their middles here. So you have Raven Colvin now in that M1 position. And so when the setter's in the front row, she's gonna have 2 rotations with the setter in those 2 hitter rotations. And a big block from her there seems to be a good move for Purdue.
Ali Hornung, the younger sister of Marissa, serving. And a dig by Skimmerhorn in the contest for Purdue. Newton sends it over. Set it up for Ballard Nixon, and she has come up with some big points today.
Look at the dig here. Both of these teams, we talk about how big and physical they are, but both of these teams play really scrappy defense. You can just imagine how hard it is in their practice gyms to get a ball to the floor. It only makes these teams so much better.
Kerber serving. Just a bit too far.
And if you remember, that was the rotation in set 2 where BYU went on a run of points. So Purdue certainly happy to see that one sail long and move past that rotation.
2-point set. Haley Bush with the serve. Set it up for Cleveland, and that one skied off of a BYU player for the Purdue point. They're back within 1.
And when you see these big high swings from Grace Cleveland, you see how physical these teams are at the net.
Haley Bush, 12 aces on the year. They send it over for Ballard Nixon, batted around. Back to Ballard Nixon. The play is still going after the Purdue block. Tapped over and out of play by Madeline Cook.
This is the blocking we saw from Purdue in set 1. Dominant blocking at the net. The difference now, BYU ready for it.
I was going to say,
coverage.
They seemed stunned by that blocking in the first set, but like you said, now they are ready, and they have adjusted. That's in for an ace. 5th of the day by BYU.
And these aces are pretty consistently dropping at the back line. Those are such difficult balls to pass. You've got the passer backing up and trying to make a decision all at the same time.
Halen Ballard Nixon, the senior. Setting it up for Livingston with the point. Aaron Livingston, the sophomore.
Tell you what, Newton had an opportunity to take a swing from the back row chose to go with the tip shot, and it was basically a free ball to BYU. So Purdue got to keep their foot on the gas, got to be aggressive here. Again, we're seeing Horning go in the match because of the passing situation. That means she's going to be a front row player for them.
Whitney Bauer. Newton sends one out of play. You know, if you're Purdue, you're so battle-tested. You face so many tough teams in the Big Ten. And now they call timeout. We're going to talk about how they regroup coming up next as they trail by 5 here in set number 3. 5 Pacific on ESPN and the app. We'll have the 87th annual Heisman Trophy ceremony. The finalists are Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, Kenny Pickett, and Aiden Hutchinson. And we'll have 2011 Heisman winner Robert Griffin III announcing the winner again Saturday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. So far, the winner of this set will have a major advantage here in Pittsburgh as we are tied at 1 set apiece. Missy Whittemore and Alex Lober. Missy, BYU with momentum again, just like they had in the last set. And Taylon Ballard-Nixon has just done a tremendous job, tied for the team lead in kills, leading them at aces, and there is another crucial point from the senior.
She is serving with such confidence right now from the service line, and interesting, Purdue is in a 2-player pass rotation. And Ballard-Nixon is back there. It's like stealing candy from a baby. I mean, you feel like she's just looking at the court, feeling like she has so much room to take a big rip at the ball.
She's got 4 aces, more than the entire Purdue team. In fact, twice as many.
And that's going to be a double contact, unfortunately, on Ballard-Nixon. In middle back, steps in on second contact and tries to use her hands above her head. Just gets an awkward roll there out of her hands. And we saw a call against Purdue early in the match, a mishandling contact. And so I like to see the officials calling it both ways.
And there's a big answer by Marissa Horning. That one mishandled. And an ace for Purdue, their 3rd.
So Marissa Horning, interestingly, has been inserted into the match twice while she was still in the front row. And it's Purdue desperately trying to get the pass that they need, putting her in the match, a rotation early for that.
That was her 17th ace of the season, but could not reach that one to save it. Point BYU.
Heather Knighting, again, off 1 foot, and you can see it coming. She's loading toward the right side of the court, but with her physicality at 6'4", just knocking it high off those blockers' hands.
Came into this one 4th in the nation in hitting percentage at .445 did Heather Knighting. Purdue too strong.
Touch call there at the net. JL Johnson with a big rip out of the middle, and she knows it immediately that there's a touch on that BYU block. I like the aggressive swing from Johnson. One of the seniors on what you mentioned is a very experienced and deep roster for the Boilermakers.
Including Jenna Otek, the 5th-year senior. Purdue not going away. Oh, somehow getting underneath that one was Haley Bush, but the point for BYU.
Something Purdue likes to do there on second contact when they're completely out of system, try to just catch your opponent off guard and swing one over deep into the court. That time just long.
Whitney Bauer serving. Cleveland answers for Purdue.
Wow, and you see the wrist action there. That was a difficult attack for a right-handed player on the right side. She had to really get her feet to that ball. Not quite able to, and she has really great wrist work there to place that ball deep in the corner.
Dave Shondell's squad back within 4, and another ace, and Grace Cleveland is fired up.
And that ace moments ago from Horning and now from Cleveland, both at Kinsey Korber, who we mentioned teams have been serving her off the court. Coming into this weekend, she did not have a single reception error. Purdue has changed that. They've gone at her and aced her a couple times.
They go at her again. Cleveland already has 2 aces. This one bouncing around. Cleveland hacks at it. BYU comes right back with the point.
1st to 15. Those are important little milestones for players over the course of a set. You know, they're always saying push to 15, 1st to 15. Now it's a 5-point game to 20, and just little battles within the war.
Seemed like BYU was owning play early on in this set, and then it's gone back and forth recently as Purdue trying to rally. Newton with a point. And now some of the momentum shifting back to the other side of the floor, and you can tell the Purdue players are up and bouncing around.
Yeah, with a thump like this one, that'll create some momentum. I like that. A little bit of a gap set for Newton. We've seen her swinging primarily out at the antenna. They switch things up a little bit, trying to catch that BYU block. And they're able to find a gap there. Really nice set by Bush.
Newton with 7 kills. Tied for the second most, and there is an ace. And here comes Purdue's service game. It has finally arrived here in Pittsburgh.
Oh my goodness, the serving battle, the way it's gone back and forth. I mean, we saw this pressure from Purdue in set 1. BYU goes back and gets hot at the service line in set 2. Looked like it was going to continue in this set. And now here come the Boilermakers.
Ballard Nixon trying to answer, and that goes out of play off of Purdue.
I'm so impressed with Haley Bush, though, the setter up there for Purdue at the net. A couple times left alone to block these big attackers from BYU, and she does a great job of getting hands on that ball, trying to slow it down. That time, obviously, off her hands out of bounds.
5'10", redshirt senior Bush. Colvin, haven't heard from her in a while, but there she is with the point.
And isn't that interesting that we haven't heard from her? It's the shift in first contact. When first contact is there, you can set your middles. In fact, you can set anybody, and that's why you become a real dangerous volleyball team. But I like the fact that even though Haley Bush had to go low and Colvin had to come with her, they stick with that fast tempo and get the middle going.
With all these different All-Americans on the floor, it's the freshman Colvin leading all players with 9 kills. Point for Purdue, and all of a sudden the Boilermakers are back within 1.
Another good serve here from Purdue. It just creates a little confusion, and all of a sudden, miscommunication. Purdue within 1.
Allie Hornung. Kerber. Point BYU.
The block is there for Purdue, but Kerber gets the best of it. Just blasts it off those blockers' hands.
But she now has 7 kills, tied for the team lead. And it's BYU up 17-15, but that one goes into the net.
And that's a huge missed opportunity for BYU here. Huge missed opportunity because that is that rotation where Purdue has struggled to side out, where we've seen BYU string together points, and that missed serve hurts.
Well, it only makes sense that after Purdue dominated the first set, BYU the second, that we are back and forth here in the third.
What a response from Ballard Nixon there, white wearing number 1 for BYU, and her counterpart Livingston on the left side, because the Purdue block was intimidating in set 1. And boy, you would think that could really cause an attacker to go away from what they're comfortable with, but Ballard Nixon and Livingston have come right back.
Newton trying to answer. That one off of Purdue, and the point for Heather Knighting and the Cougars.
The slide for Knighting has been so successful, and it's so well set by Bauer. You know, great tempo on the ball, great location, puts it in the window where Knighting can really cut it off at any point.
That is in for a BYU ace. Number 7 on the day, and number 5 for Ballard Nixon.
And twice with Ballard Nixon at the service line, Purdue has been forced to call a timeout.
Set the second set back and forth, and now in this one, you wonder how this is going to end. I mean, BYU, I guess, pulling away with the momentum at this point, but Purdue not quite going away.
Yeah, this one feels a little bit more like the battle that we expected.
Heather Olmstead, 4-time West Coast Conference Coach of the Year, looking on as her team with the 4-point advantage. And the point for Purdue. Heather Olmstead, the highest career winning percentage of any head coach in D1 history, has won 90% of her matches. And they're showing some rare emotion. She's usually the calming presence over there.
And we talked about what a family affair it is for the Boilermakers and the Shondell family. Well, the same can be said of the Olmstead family at BYU. Her brother, who years ago coached the women's team, is now the head men's coach at BYU. And of course, they have a sister, Lacey, who played for BYU in the mid-90s. So it's a family affair at BYU as well.
Family and friends on hand here at Fitzgerald Fieldhouse, watching BYU get closer and closer to set point. Who would have thought this would be the case after that first set, which Purdue won 25-12. 4 blocks in that set, hit nearly 400. But there is a service error by the Cougars.
Both teams doing a great job of creating service pressure. For Purdue, that's been paired with some errors that we feel like have, stymied them in sets 2 and 3 here. BYU able to eliminate a lot of the errors from their service game, but we see one here in this third set at a crucial moment.
Jenna Otek, the first Purdue player ever to win Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year. How about the dig by Haley Bush for Purdue? Newton comes flying in. Point Boilermakers.
Good choice by Haley Bush here as Raven Colvin comes flying in. They beat by Pitt, who we will see here in our next meeting against Kansas here in Pittsburgh. But 6 of the 8 Big Ten teams that made it into the NCAA tournament are still alive in the regional. It's just an incredibly deep conference.
Dave Shondell looks on, reigning Big Ten Coach of the Year. His team trying to battle back down 2 here in the third set. Off the Otek serve. Ornung setting up Newton. Livingston reaches over. Newton comes into the picture, and it's blocked by BYU. We've talked about all Purdue's blocking, but BYU has come up with some crucial defensive plays as well.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, Eschenberg just finding a groove here along the net. Purdue so good on those high, tight balls early in the match, but Eschenberg starting to get a feel for their offense.
Off the Bauer serve, Colvin denied, and that one somehow kept alive. Otek was in the mix. Kerber, what a dig on the back row, and the point for Purdue. Holy cow!
Eschenberg, a force at the net, a couple big blocks, and you saw Purdue just laying out to keep those alive. BYU not happy early in this rally, pointing at the net, and I think we're going to see a challenge here.
Marissa Hornung, the 5'7" senior from Indiana, top 5 all-time in digs in program history. And you'd be hard-pressed to find many better than that one. As BYU challenging, we'll get another look in a tight contest here in the third set. Let's see.
And this is definitely in. They're pointing
absolutely
at the antenna near the up official. And early in that rally, they were pointing at that antenna. So it's something that happened early in the rally. I think they believe that a ball from BYU perhaps touched that antenna, or that there was a player in the net. Okay, and we're being told now that it's actually a challenge to see if Purdue actually did pancake the ball. Was the player's hand under the ball?
That's what I thought at first, as we get a different angle. That was Marissa Hornung, again, one of the best to ever do it in a Purdue uniform, 4th all-time in digs, over 1,400. They're going to look at that one for a little bit longer.
And you can challenge anything in the rally. Could have even been prior to that, because there were a couple huge defensive plays in this rally. So we're going back a little further. I think this is more likely early in the rally what they're challenging, because I feel like early in the rally they were making a motion.
So far you don't see anything to overturn the point. And another glance at that sequence in a different angle. Tough to see anything conclusive to overturn it.
Yeah. And obviously, they're going to communicate to the down official exactly where they believe there was an issue.
And you could see Heather Olmstead right there saying, we're fighting. It's all right, let's keep fighting. I mean, they dropped that first set losing by 13, and all they have done since then is keep fighting.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the original call stands. It is confirmed. Point for the Boilermakers.
That feels like a big one, doesn't it? At 22-20. That looks a lot different than 23-19, I'll tell you that. When you look at the scoreboard, that feels like a really important win there for Purdue if they're going to stay in this one.
Cleveland serving. Colvin denied, and all of a sudden the BYU defense dominating over the last 5 points at the net.
And how about that? It's Kerber on the left side there, staying on the left side at a serve receive, who comes up with the big block on the slide play.
What of a massive addition she's become so popular in just one season at Provo. She said people have been stopping her in the grocery stores there saying, "Are you number 4? Are you that player?" Yes, she is that player, who's one of the best in the conference. Tapped over by Newton, point Purdue.
Tell you what, I watched Whitney Bauer practice yesterday, and it's not easy to get a ball to the floor against Whitney Bauer and the type of defense she plays. This is really perfectly placed by Caitlin Newton, just out of the reach of Bauer.
Newton now tied for the team lead with 9 kills and serving. A couple of aces as well. Set it up for Kerber. Diving was Otek. And Purdue scrambling around, unable to get to it. Set point coming up for Kerber and the Cougars.
Look at that pass from Maddie Allen, the libero, though, for BYU to start things off for them. That was a huge pass in a 2-player rotation, passing with only 2 players there, and she nailed it.
Maddie Allen serving. There is Ballard Dixon. Sent over off of McComber. Ballard Nixon, Otek with the dig. Too much BYU, and the Cougars take set number 3 and lead it 2-1.
Who would have thought, after the way Purdue completely dominated set 1, that it would be BYU leading 2-1? They have come roaring back, playing with a complete package, offense and defense, service pressure, passing the ball, and the emotion to go with it.
11th seeded BYU, 1 set away from taking a couple of sets for them.
I really think the fact that they were able to increase the quality of their first contact. I mean, that's what this game is all about, because if you look at the numbers, interestingly, at this point in the match, BYU has only 33 kills, and they're up 2-1. That's 11 kills per set. That's not a big number. So a lot of what's happening in this match has to do with blocking, has to do with serving and passing. And it's interesting because early on, Purdue completely dominated the match in terms of blocking, but now BYU with 7 blocks to Purdue's 9.
That's right. Since that first set, Purdue had nearly half their blocks in that first set. After that, they have 5 total blocks. BYU 4. It's been nearly the same, even though Purdue came in with 100 more blocks than the Cougars on the season. 4th set is now underway with Horning serving. Livingston sends it over. Newton. The back row was Reiner. Livingston, there's a block by Purdue. And BYU unable to send it over. The Boilermakers with the first point of the set.
Well, we said it earlier, Purdue had to win a set 4 and a set 5 against Dayton in order to make it to a regional. So this is not new territory for them, and it probably feels pretty familiar to BYU as well, who was dominated in the first set by Utah and came roaring back for a 4-set win against Utah to make their way to the regional.
And not only did Purdue have to rally, like you said, after falling behind 2-0 to Utah. Speaking of rallying, these two squads going back and forth here. Livingston thought about it. Newton, that is in. Well, not only did they rally against Utah, Missy, they dominated the 4th set, 25-6, tied for the biggest margin in program history there, and took the final set 15-5.
And again, you'll see some people there on BYU's bench questioning that call.
Yeah.
But Heather Olmstead does not choose to go to the challenge. And as we said, the experimental system not in play. So even if she were correct, she would lose that challenge. It's early in the set. I feel like she feels like she has to keep it in her pocket.
At first glance, Live time, it seemed out, but she didn't challenge, and all of a sudden, it's 3-0 Purdue here in the fourth set.
And for all these coaches in the tournament who have used the experimental system all year, they've had to rethink their use of the challenge going into the tournament. And if it's early in a set, I think we're less likely to see coaches use their challenge.
Dec with the dig. Cleveland. BYU keeps it alive. Newton at it. And that one skims off the defender, Reiner. What a start for the Boilermakers right here in set number 4.
Purdue looked much more timid in the third set, not taking these big rips like we saw in set 1, but here they come in set 4, and this is the Caitlin Newton who started the Boilermakers off with some big swings.
What a start here for Purdue, having to win this set to keep their season alive. The national semifinals get underway on the 16th, and then the championship will take place on December 18th in Columbus, Ohio. Can't wait to see who makes it there. Coming out of this bracket, don't forget after this matchup, whenever it ends, because we may be going a while here the way these two teams are playing, it'll be the third-seeded and host Pittsburgh squad taking on the Cinderella Kansas Jayhawks. That's coming up after this on ESPN+. So coming out of the timeout, let's see if BYU can stem the tide. Boilermakers up early in this set now, 5-0.
Great looking transition game there from Purdue. Got to get some touches, got to get those block touches. That's not a stuff block, not a ball that'll go down in the stats as a block, but so important. It allows Jenna Otek to get a really nice transition dig, and they finish it off with the middle attack.
Purdue hitting 500 early on in this set. Set it up for Newton, off the net and in. I mean, you talk about a perfect start. Purdue, 6-0.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, if you're BYU, they just came out of a timeout. What can you do?
This is a match of streaks like I don't remember any time. Just the way both teams have been able to dominate at times in this match.
Newton into the net it goes, and there is the first point for the Cougars.
Trying to roll a sharp angle shot there along the net, as that's the only option she had. The ball sailing well past the antenna. Didn't really have a good look at it.
Overall on the day, Purdue hitting 252, BYU 163. Hifo serving too strong.
Hifo, one of the best servers on this team. They really needed a little something from her there at the service line, and you can see she was going for it. These teams are certainly going for it from the service line.
And BYU does have 7 aces today, but now 5 service errors. Colvin was there at the net. Cleveland too far, 7-2.
Purdue wants a touch call, and I think we're actually going to get a challenge on this one from Coach Shondell, which surprises me a little bit because the touch is so hard to see, even on replay. But as you mentioned, Purdue on quite the roll, and they like the trajectory of this set. They want to stay in control in the driver's seat, but the touch is just so hard to see. It's the one call that is so difficult to see. And I'm not seeing anything here that would change the existing call, which is no touch.
Yeah, I mean, you don't see it on that angle.
Yeah, you do see the net move there, but that is the ponytail of Livingston at the net, and that is an inverted net, and that would not be called against her.
So Purdue up by 5 here right now. The Boilermakers, 6 aces, 7 service errors for Dave Shondell's squad. For BYU, 7 aces, 5 service errors. You know, for a while, BYU was dominating in that category. Now it's evened up. For a while, Purdue was dominating in blocks. That category has gotten a lot closer. A lot of these stats, even on paper right now. Here's another look. Nothing conclusive, and the original call will stand.
Interesting to me that Coach Shondell chose to use the challenge on a touch there, and I think it just speaks a lot to how important he feels the momentum is in this fourth set here. It's been a match of streaks.
Oh, your season's on the line right now.
Absolutely, and he feels the way this match has gone, that it's happened in streaks, that teams have not made small runs, but huge runs, something you just don't see a lot in the regular season. And his team was about to make a big run there. He wanted to keep it going.
Remains a 5-point set, make it 6. And Purdue, this is how they looked in the opening set.
Yeah, and as I said, got a little out of sorts. I thought we saw some pretty timid looks from Purdue there in that last set, tipping balls that maybe they could have taken a swing at, and they, I think, just have to play aggressive.
Grace Cleveland with the serve. Dec with a diving dig. Colvin couldn't get to that. Here's Newton with his soft touch. And the point for Purdue. Bauer came diving in, but couldn't save it.
Yeah, I think she actually got into position too quickly. She overruns this ball with her foot speed, and instead of getting it out on her platform, it kind of eats her up, and she's just not able to make a play on it.
Wise choice by Newton, mixing up the speed. She has 14 kills, the only player for either team with double-digit kills. Bauer setting up Livingston, Horning with the dig. BYU with some strong defense of their own, and Kerber with the point.
And again, we see the hitters for BYU staying at opposite sides of the net. So Kerber staying on the left side there throughout that rally. Livingston staying at the right side. A little different block setup necessary against that left-handed player out at the left pen.
Kenzie Kerber, the 3-time All-American with 9 kills. Comer serving. Cleveland comes flying in for the point for Purdue.
Tell you what, when you can tag the inline, there's just no defense for that. What a nice swing by Grace Cleveland. And realize she lands up near the net, but she's coming from the back row, folks. That's a big time swing.
10 kills now for Grace Cleveland. She's hitting .450 on the day.
And we are now going to see our third left front attacker opposite Caitlin Newton into the match for Purdue, and it's Emma Ellis this time.
Colvin was there at the net defensively for the Boilermakers.
Nice play by the freshman Colvin there. Great job reading, staying there on the set. And I think Bauer trying to be tricky. She sees the block going out to the left pin, trying to be tricky, but her middle blocker not able to make a play on it.
Well, Kerber is feeling it. The transfer from Utah. Trying to single-handedly pull the Cougars back into this set.
Remember, in that last match against Utah, they went after her in serve-receive. She had 6 kills, but 6 errors. Today, 10 kills, only 4 errors. So much better performance offensively from Kenzie Kerber.
And Ellis sent it over for Purdue. The dig by Caitlin Newton. Bush to Newton. Ballard Nixon with the point. 9 kills for the senior.
And the back row attack there from Caitlin Newton, I think just too easy. You know, that's a free ball. Look at BYU right into the hands of the setter, and now your blockers in the front row are chasing because this is a completely in-system BYU team.
Maddie Allen with the serve for the Cougars. And BYU starting to creep back into this set.
Somehow Newton here is able to sneak one through. I'm not sure how. I think gets a lucky roll of the net there. It looked like the block was going to take care of that one, but the point goes to Purdue.
Yeah, Boilermakers now up by 7 instead. Well, Purdue just on a roll right now. Just set to keep their season alive. BYU hitting zeros right now in this set. Allie Hornung, the freshman, serving. Set over.
Oh, they are going to call a back row attack. I thought the pass traveled over. And this happens in volleyball, and fans always wonder, how in the world did that happen? Well, the blockers are trained to keep their eye on the setter and the attackers. They actually will take their eye off the ball. And so that ball travels over, but they're saying that the setter for BYU touched that ball before it traveled over, and that would make her a back row attack.
8th service error on the day by Purdue. Kenzie Kerber, 100 career aces, one so far today. That one hammered home, point Purdue. J.L. Johnson, the senior from Indiana, bringing the thunder.
Such a nice delivery by Haley Bush. We said, she and Bauer both really nice floor generals, the way they run their teams.
Ooh, Kerber did a nice job mixing it up there, and Purdue unable to handle that.
Kerber just dropping one right in the hole there.
Well, here is Taylin Ballard-Nixon. She has 5 aces on the day, one less than the entire Purdue team. There's a point for the Boilermakers. Johnson at it again.
This is a great job by Bush going up and getting it. This ball is tight. She has to save that pass, able to get 2 hands on it, and the block jumps with her. So now all of a sudden there's really no block against the attack. So just great play there by Haley Bush.
Purdue hitting .429 in this set. Sending that one back into play was Maddie Allen. Dec with the dig. Tapped over by Cleveland. Point Purdue.
Good job executing the scout, because BYU is asking their offside attacker, in this instance it's the setter, to come all the way across the court and pick up the off speed. If you lay one right on the line, that might be the only spot in the gym where Whitney Bauer can't make a play on the ball.
The Purdue fans here are feeling it, as already we've had some Pittsburgh fans start to file in as they get ready for the next matchup. So they're walking into this thing, wait a minute, what is going on here? We have a great opening match taking place here in Pittsburgh at Fitzgerald Fieldhouse. The opening match of the regional semifinals. Purdue took the first set 25-12 and just utterly blasted BYU in that set. The Cougars came roaring back 25-16, 25-21. But now it's Purdue up by 10 here in the 4th set. As far as host Pittsburgh,
point for Pitt.
And they're getting ready to take on Kansas following this on ESPN+.
Runs on the dig. Fairbanks sets member Monet, tapped over, kept alive by Parker. Now to the outside, blocked by the Panthers. Revenge night in Pittsburgh. The Panthers are moving on.
Well, this was in their last round matchup against Penn State. This place was absolutely rocking the arch rivals. Pitt took down the Nittany Lions and advanced.
I think you could say they finally got the monkey off their back there, as they have been working so hard here at Pittsburgh to earn a top 4 seed and that ability to host. But of course they had to win that one in order to stay in this thing and have this opportunity here on their home court. So they have home court advantage here in these regional rounds. And then of course only a short 3-hour drive to Columbus.
Now their match was supposed to start in 12 minutes against Kansas. That is obviously not going to happen, and not going to start anytime soon by the looks of it. As BYU with the 2-1 lead in sets, but Purdue with the 10-point lead in this set. The block by the Cougars. Cleveland mishit that one. Point BYU.
It's a really strong rotation for Purdue. They've got 3 great options. And how about the block there in the middle? I believe that's Eschenberg, no, excuse me, Knighting in the middle for BYU. Great job shadowing J.L. Johnson.
J.L. Johnson with the attack. Kerber with the point. Kenzie Kerber has come up big in this set.
Absolutely, just starting to catch fire offensively, and that's exactly what Purdue does not want. You know, they had this offense stymied in set one, and you felt like if BYU could stay the course, you knew they had the offensive power to heat up.
She's got a team high 12 kills. Livingston, Purdue with the block. Bush came flying in to save it. Boilermakers set it up for Newton. Oh, that one off the face. It looked like a peepo.
And this is Newton at her best, when she swings aggressively, goes up high, hard, and deep. That is what she does so, so well.
So Purdue comes right back with the point, doubling up BYU in a must-win set for the Boilermakers. Jenna Otek serving, top 10 all-time in aces for Purdue, and she adds another to the list, number 161 of her career.
What a knuckleball, the movement on this. You think this thing has absolutely no chance of staying in bounds, and look at that, just drop at the end line.
BYU was dominating in aces early on, but we're tied at 7 in that category. Purdue continues to control the set. Newton, that is in for the point.
The out-of-system transition at times can be so dominant for Purdue in situations like this. Wow, credit Marissa Horning all the way to the net. And not only does she make second contact, but she makes a really quality second contact.
You would never know Purdue lost the last 2 sets. They have come out confident and out to an 11-point lead, but the Cougars tried to fight back here in the 4th set. Down 20, now to 10. Whitney Bauer getting ready to serve. 26 aces this year. Cleveland powers one off of Maddie Allen. And sent over. Grace Cleveland, the 2-time All-American with the point.
I love it. I love the pushback there by Grace Cleveland. She doesn't step off the net and set the ball and set up the offense. She makes the aggressive play here, just right back at them.
We talked about Purdue being battle tested. They have been in this situation before against top teams like BYU. That one moves back and forth and point for the Boilermakers. I mean, what do they get out to, a 6-0 lead in this set? Right off the bat. In control, now up 22-10 here in the 4th set.
Typically in a match, when a team is able to string together 3 points, they consider that a huge run. Well, this match does not fit the norms. We have seen these teams go on huge runs.
That one slammed down by Kennedy Eschenberg, the middle blocker from Utah. Aria McComber getting ready to serve for BYU. 16 aces on the year. Bush sets it up for Cleveland. She's been everywhere offensively for Purdue.
Yeah, and just moments ago I was looking at the numbers and I kind of thought, I think Purdue could actually set Grace Cleveland more balls. You know, she was sitting at about 20 attempts. Well, now all of a sudden she has 24, and guess what? She's killed half of those, 12 kills. That's a pretty good efficiency. So I think more balls to Newton is a good thing.
That's after hitting 471 against Dayton. Here's the serve. Again, it's Eschenberg.
2 really complete middles for BYU. Whether Eschenberg's on the floor or Knighting, both just so good in all facets of the game. Huge blocks. You're dealing with a 6'4" and a 6'5" blocker. They move well from side to side, but they are great offensive players as well.
Bush tried to catch the BYU defense off guard. Ellis comes flying in. Colvin with the spike.
And after the last ball set out to the pin to Ellis, I think everybody knew Raven Colvin was going to get that one. You're just waiting. You see 2 blockers for BYU in position, and Colvin goes right around him.
Colvin has tied a career high with 10 kills. Set point now for the Boilermakers, trying to send it to 5 sets. Hornung serving. But BYU not quite finished in this set thanks to Heather Knighting.
setters love within the match. Little battles between the setters. We just saw a great middle attack from Purdue, and BYU's Whitney Bauer goes right to the middle as well.
Kenzie Kerber trying to keep this set alive. Dec. Bush to Newton. Kerber was there with the dig, and that one is in. Emma Ellis, the junior from Charlotte, North Carolina, helps Purdue keep their season alive and take set number 4, 25-13. What a match we have here. A decisive 5th set on the way. Which team will advance? Which team will go home for good? 6-seeded Purdue or the 11-seed BYU? We'll find.
Difference. We said this BYU team coming in, the question was they hadn't been that tested. How good are they? Well, I think they've certainly answered that question. They're pretty darn good. However, they have not been in this 5-set situation nearly as much as Purdue. It's a quick set to 15.
Yeah, Purdue had played in 6 5-set matches before today, 4-2 in those situations, and we are underway in set number 5 off the Horning serve. Livingston, and BYU takes the first point of the set again. 1st to 15, gotta win by 2.
And the way this match has gone, it's been so streaky, one extreme or the other, that you feel like the first couple points of this set are just so important.
Aria McComber, the grad transfer from Washington State, 16 aces on the year, serving. Newton flying in and denied by BYU.
And Purdue absolutely going to start in the rotation with Caitlin Newton there in left front, their big piece of offense, to give her as many swings as she can across the front row. So that's a hugely important block for BYU.
The Cougars with 8 blocks on the day. Cleveland. Kenzie Kerber. Hornung one-handed, sent it over, reaching to her left. Dec with the dig. Newton waits for it, powers that one off of McComber. Saved by Whitney Bauer. They send it over for the free ball. Hammered home by J.L. Johnson.
Wow, this might be one of the biggest swings of the match, and this has been a heavy-hitting match. But what a great swing by J.L. Johnson, cross body into right back.
And if you're tuning in, by the way, for the Louisville, Florida match that is beginning right now on ESPN News, we will take you there shortly. But right now in the decisive 5th set, BYU out to the 3-1 lead.
And again, the setters playing a little game of anything you can do, I can do better. BYU answers that big swing from J.L. Johnson with a middle attack of their own.
Maddie Allen serving. That one off of Hornung. Dec saved it. Newton too far, and BYU getting closer and closer. You talked about earlier in the match, each set being its own entity. This is a reversal of the last set. Cougars up 5-1 here in the 5th.
And when it's a race to 15, errors just feel like they are absolutely magnified. We saw the attack error from Purdue, followed by the reception error, and that is 2 quick points for the Cougars.
Timeout is called. If you're Dave Shondell, your team just came off a tremendous 25-13 win in the 4th set. They have looked nothing like that early on here in the 5th set. What are you saying with your season on the line?
And yet, does it surprise us? The fact that we've seen a complete change from a team from set to set. That is the way this one has gone. But I tell you what, whatever he said to his team between sets 2 and 3 at Dayton, he might want to try that magic again, because that seemed to work. They came storming back and won those 3 versus Dayton for the incredible reverse sweep. But honestly, I think they just have to focus here. It's 1 point at a time. You know, it's a race to 15, but you don't score 5 on a big swing. You know, a big kill doesn't get you 5. It's just 1 at a time right now. Again, this is the 7th 5-set match of the year for Purdue. For BYU, just their 2nd. But experience not really a factor so far early on in this 5th set. We'll see if it ends up making a difference. But BYU grabbing the early 5-1 lead.
Again, Purdue took the first set 25-12 and the fourth 25-13, but in between BYU controlled play 25-16 in the second, 25-21 in the third. The winner of this matchup will advance to the regional final to play the winner of Pittsburgh and Kansas, which is coming up next on ESPN Plus here from Fitzgerald Fieldhouse in Pittsburgh. Okay, both teams ready to go with Maddie Allen, the sophomore from California, serving for BYU. I think the fans are fired up for this one. They traveled a long ways to watch their team try and advance. Newton taps it over. Bauer sets it up, out of play, point Purdue.
And Purdue dodges a bullet there because, again, not an aggressive swing from the Boilermakers, somewhat of a free ball. And it's really the error from the Cougars that allows Purdue to get that second point.
Grace Cleveland, the All-American, serving for the Boilermakers. And the block by one of the best defenses in the nation, coming up when they need it most.
In fact, the third best blocking team in the entire country. And that's Haley Bush up there, the setter.
13 blocks for the Boilermakers today. Cleveland. Kerber denied. She'll try it again. Okay. Bush sends it over.
Grabs the line. Bush finds the sideline. That is a huge placement ball there by Purdue. Gutsy move for Bush, taking it over on two and catches Whitney Bauer just inside the court a little. Really well-placed ball.
One of the most dynamic setters in the nation, Haley Bush. There she is, setting up Newton. The BYU defense coming up big. Cougars back up by 2.
We talked about the dominant block of Purdue, but BYU has certainly proven they can match that physicality, and it's Knighting who's a little bit late to that ball, but Kinsey Kerber all over it.
Kerber serving, and there is an ace by the All-American.
Talk about doing a little bit of everything. Obviously, we expect offense. Her blocking has been on point, and she is a threat, a for real threat from the service line.
2 aces today for Kerber, 101 for her career. BYU by 3. Colvin, too strong. Point Purdue.
Talk about someone doing their job and doing it well. How about Raven Colvin? Make it 11 kills for her now on the day. Hitting about 450. She has 7 blocks to go along with it. She has quietly gone about her business.
That is a new career high for Colvin, 11 kills. Newton serving. Bauer.
Miss hit by Bauer there as that ball's traveling well past the antenna. Again, just doesn't have a great look at it. As a hitter, when the ball's past the antenna, you pretty much got to do acrobats to make a play on that ball, and she's just not able to do anything with it.
So after trailing 5-1 early in this set, Purdue with a chance to tie. Ellis at the net, and we are tied at 7.
And again, it's been a carousel of left sides. It's been Cook, it's been Chen, it's been Ellis. And this happens to be the right player at the right time for Coach Shondell. Nice play by Emma Ellis.
Look at the emotion, not just from Purdue, from both sides. Again, with their seasons on the line. One team will move on to the regional finals. Purdue looking to advance there for the 2nd straight season. And as for BYU, they're looking to make it to the regional finals for the 2nd time in 4 years, and fitting that here in the 5th set, we are tied at 7.
It was in this round last year that BYU was taken down by a #1 seed, Wisconsin. So obviously they are very motivated to make it past this round. Last year, of course, Purdue did make it past this round before being defeated by eventual national champion Kentucky.
Elsewhere around the nation, the top seed, Louisville, they have gotten underway against Florida. That is currently on ESPN News. And meanwhile here,
a 5th year of COVID eligibility and the experience they bring to the floor, that couldn't be more important than in a very crucial, must-win, shortened 5th set.
Kayla Newton, the 2-time All-American, serving for Purdue. Ballard Nixon. The Purdue defense was there, but it went out of bounds. BYU back up by 1.
Certainly feels like there's times where you're not going to beat that Purdue block, especially with Colvin up there at the net. So do your best to use it, and that's what Ballard Nixon does. With that, she goes to the service line where she has been very good.
5 aces today for Ballard Nixon. Newton, nobody home. We're tied again.
Maddie Skimmerhorn nails this pass. Really critical pass right here. And I don't even know if we've said her name as much as we should, but it's certainly worth mentioning in a crucial moment like that to put a perfect ball up.
Caitlin Newton has a match-high 18 kills. But a crucial service error, 9th of the day by Purdue. That's nearly twice as many as BYU. Again, 1st to 15, winning by 2, keeps their season alive. Taylor Hefo, the senior setter from American Fork, Utah, serving. Newton waits for it. Livingston with the point. BYU up by 2.
A roll shot for Purdue, and BYU turns it into instant offense. Great job taking care of second contact, and out-of-system second contact, but they hang a nice ball up to the left side.
Hefo. Ellis, what a dig. No, there's the point for Purdue.
Wow, Ellis has only taken 4 swings at this point in the match. Perhaps none more important than in this 5th set, and she just buries it.
Purdue back within 1. Here's Haley Bush. Kerber came flying in. Otek, what a dig on the back row. Tapped over by Kennedy Eschenberg.
Wow, Otek there in left back just made that huge dig on the back row attack. And the wherewithal of Kennedy Eschenberg to see the help block coming from left front, that just leaves a sliver of court open to her, and boy, does she do a nice job placing it.
Whitney Bauer serving, the reigning 2-time West Coast Conference Center of the Year. Cleveland and BYU's defense coming up big when they need it most. Timeout on the floor. Cougars up by 3.
It's Purdue leading the blocking battle in this match with 14 to BYU's 10. But boy, that one feels like it's worth about 3 or 4 points, doesn't it, here in this 5th set? That's a huge block.
I mean, considering coming in, as we've talked about the story as far as blocks are concerned, Purdue, one of the best in the nation, 100 more blocks entering this match than the Cougars, but BYU hanging right with them, and the Cougars now 3 points away from advancing to the regional finals.
Again, we're starting to see the BYU offense heat up. This BYU team is just so well-rounded. They're good both offensively and defensively. You look at their efficiency and how they're able to hold their opponent as well.
Coming up after this on ESPN+, the host team Pittsburgh taking on Kansas, the 3rd-seeded Panthers, and already underway on ESPN News, top-seeded Louisville in action against Florida. BYU and Purdue, they will, at least whoever wins this, will get a day off tomorrow to catch their breath and get ready for Saturday.
And what a good point, and what a great step in the right direction for the game of women's volleyball. You see how physical this match has been. 5 long sets, and it would be a shame to think that they would have to take the court again tomorrow and that perhaps not be as well rested as their opponent. So that day off is going to be critical in really determining who are those 8 teams, or excuse me, those 4 teams who then should advance to the national semifinals in Columbus.
BYU's fans can feel it on their feet here at Fitzgerald Fieldhouse in Pittsburgh, but the Purdue faithful making some noise as well. Kenzie Kerber directing traffic. This is why she transferred to BYU. Whitney Bauer, the junior. Diving in for that one was Bush to save it. Horning sends it over. Cleveland with the point for the Boilermakers. They're back within 2.
Oh, and BYU was definitely in the driver's seat of that point because Purdue did not even get a swing off on their first contact there. And in transition, they win that point, but BYU certainly would like to have that one back.
Marissa Horning already has an ace today. But a big service error right there. And BYU 2 points away from moving on. 10 service errors on the day for Purdue, twice as many as the Cougars. Heather Olmstead watches on as Aria McComber serving for the Cougars. Grace Cleveland. Kerber with the point! Set point, match point on the way for BYU.
Take another look. Purdue trying to re-block there, and Whitney Bauer makes a great choice because a one-on-one for Kerber is a good situation for BYU.
Match point, Bush saves it, Newton sends it over, and into the net it goes. And Purdue keeps their season alive.
And again, not as they had designed it, because they certainly there are in a position where they don't get a swing on serve receive. Not what they're hoping for, but in transition, somehow they find a way.
Match point again for BYU. Jenna Otek, the All-American, serving, the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year. And an ace! Otek with her second ace of the day. And timeout on the floor. Purdue back within 2. This is unreal.
Wow, and this is a very quick timeout here from Heather Olmstead, who doesn't want to give Jenna Otek room to run from the service line. And she just splits the 2 passers. That ball of Jenna Otek drops, and those passers really have to be communicating.
Each team with 8 aces on the day. Purdue hitting 265, BYU 163, but in this set, both teams right around the same. Hitting 167 for Purdue and 176 for BYU.
And this is a match where when you look at overall numbers, they're going to look a little distorted because we've seen such, but most importantly, just trying to survive in the NCAA tournament.
Jenna Otek trying to keep her season and her career alive. And another ace for Otek. Are you kidding me? 2 straight, 3 on the day, and the Boilermakers back within 1.
And these balls are being served right to the center of the court. That's what's so mind-blowing, but realize they're passing with basically 2. Now they've got Ballard Nixon back there taking up a sliver of the court as well.
See what she does for an encore. Ballard Nixon, and we are tied at 14. Oh my goodness.
Well, when I said I thought we had a great match to start it off, I had no idea.
Otek serving again, where you have to win by 2. Kerber hammers one. BYU set point, match point on the way. The senior transfer has delivered.
For Kerber, make it 15. Big swing, had to have it.
BYU looking to advance. Newton, of course, tied again, this time at 15.
The 2 big hitters for each team in the front row. Everyone knows where the ball is going. Can you stop it is the question.
Grace Cleveland, another senior leader for this Purdue squad. Purdue saying there's the point, and they do get it. The Boilermakers up by 1, set point, match point.
Net violation being called on BYU here. And I believe it's on the follow through of Knighting. You see there after she hits. Now they're, I think, trying to say that perhaps Purdue in the net before them.
BYU is challenging the call.
So I think you're going to see from the replay here what we saw just moments ago, that Heather Knighting does hit the net on the follow through from her swing here. I don't know if they're questioning, they're pointing though. So are they questioning a net violation prior to that contact from Knighting? You know, either way, got to use the challenge here. Got to slow down Purdue. Got to put a pause on this.
We have gotten word that the original call will stand, so what a turn of events. BYU led the entire set until now. Match point for Purdue, the Boilermakers looking to go back to the regional final for the second straight year. Grace Cleveland, the All-American serving for the match. Kerber with the point that keeps her season and her career going.
A lot of players on the floor who have been going after this for 5 years, who returned to their respective teams with one mission in mind, and that was a run at the national title, and they're playing like it.
Kerber, 16 kills, 2 aces. To get it there. Newton. That one off of Maddie Allen. And match point again for the Boilermakers.
And interestingly, with this swing, Kerber has rotated to the back row after her last kill. Now Newton has rotated to the back row after that kill. So now, who provides the offensive power? Do they just set out of the backcourt? We'll see.
Match point, Newton, the senior from Indiana. The block by Purdue, and the Boilermakers are moving on.
Well, it went down to the wire. It took 18 points in the 5th set. I have to say, I somewhat expected that. I'm shocked by the streakiness of the match, but it started with the dominant block of Purdue, and guess what? It ends with the dominant block of Purdue.